I've been living paycheck to paycheck for the past 5 years, and today we're starting with negative $643.44. And let me show you exactly what I spent money on today. I'm on a trip for work and I didn't eat breakfast, so this chicken wrap and latte at the rest stop was $14.78, which is actually really expensive, but I gotta eat something. Next is gas, which we all know is super expensive. I paid $55.04 to fill up my tank, but unfortunately there's not much I can do to change that. Now today I was getting tons of footage of this job site for my company and it was a lot of fun, but it's time to go home, snuggle up, and chill for the rest of the day. The turnpike cost me $18.75, leaving me with negative $732.01. See you guys tomorrow.
There are two groups of people right now in America that are struggling. Group number one is the unemployment, the minimum wage, and people living in poverty. That has been a problem for so many decades and needs to be addressed. The new bucket of individuals, this has started ever since the pandemic, started a little earlier, but it sped up during the pandemic. This is the bucket of what used to be the middle class. This is the group of people who are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, working 2 jobs and a side hustle, barely getting by. These are people who have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, trades, skills, work their way up in a company. So when we hear the boomers saying that you need to work harder, you're entitled and lazy, that is why that second group of people are getting so offended, because they're doing everything that they can. And they're not working a second job so they can save up for a house or go on vacation or buy their children stuff. They are working a second job just to keep the lights on, just to have a few extra $100 in an emergency fund. So that second group of people are now speaking up, and both groups need help. And that's why we need to come together and address the cost of living and cost of housing. Because if we let this go another 5 to 7 years, we're going to see a huge gap in wealth.
I completely agree with him. Inflation is definitely kicking everybody's butts. It's intensified the struggle that was already there to begin with. I don't know if it was the Democrats, the Republicans, but it's our government. It's their fault. Why are we sending all of our money to different countries for them to fight wars when we have a lot of poor people here? I mean, honestly, they say America first. I'm not seeing that. I'm definitely not seeing that. That first guy who's living paycheck to paycheck, I really hope that he has a lump sum coming in, because being $600 in the negative is a lot of money. Um, I'm wondering if he puts that on credit cards or not, because that's a high interest rate. I think the average credit card interest rate is like 25%. So 25% of that $700 that he owes is even more money. So at this point, America is squeezing us, squeezing the middle class. I'm not sure how much more we can take, but let's see what everybody else has to say.
I'm extremely confused. You're confused? I'm fucking confused, bro.
I've been living paycheck to paycheck for the past 5 years, but now it's time to change that. I'm starting today with negative $35.83, so we're in quite a pickle at the moment. I was feeling a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, so me and Ashley went and spent $5.88. Next, it's time to get food so I don't starve myself again, because eating sleep for dinner is getting quite bland. I spent $118.96 at the grocery store, but Ashley sent me $77 for her stuff. What a great girlfriend, leaving us at negative $83.67. I honestly don't know how I still have a place to live anymore, but we'll get there. See you guys tomorrow.
How are people surviving financially nowadays? Because me and my husband make decent money. We only have one child. We have regular cars. We're still paying them off, so we have car payments. We live in a decent area, nothing fancy. And I feel like we're constantly struggling. And there's people that make less money than me and us, actually, and they're living wild lives. Like, are people just racking up all this debt? Or am I just doing something really, really, really wrong? Because I feel like I'm always trying to pay something off, or I'm always on a budget. And then student loans are due next month and nobody's talking about it. Like, how? And this is it.
So that's a teacher showing her full-time pay. I'm also a teacher, so I make this twice a month.
Seeing that pay for
just shy of
teachers is
2,400
honestly
bucks a month.
embarrassing, and it kind of frustrates
there's
me,
the money
honestly,
coming in, and there it
because
is
our
going.
government is supposed to pay for them. They haven't had a pay increase in the past like 20 to 30 years. With that level of pay, you pretty much are asking teachers to go in debt. You're asking them to go in debt to work. Honestly, they have to get bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. That comes with student loans. I know there's a few programs to help cancel out teachers' student loans, but they have to work in the low privilege areas. I think they should get their loans canceled regardless. And maybe the teachers that work in the low income areas should get an extra stipend, because this pay is absolutely ridiculous. They're getting paid less than the average rent amount. That's crazy. And yeah, you can say, well, they have summer breaks off, so they're only working really like 8 months out of the year when you add on the spring break and the holidays on top of that. But that is absolutely ridiculous. They still have to do their lesson plans. I mean, if this is what our government is doing for their workers, imagine what the private companies are doing to their workers, how they're treating them, how they're paying them. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to have to give.
A grade school teacher took to the internet to reveal her salary and monthly expenses. With $2,500, the girl spends $24.75 to pay off rent and a loan. That leaves just $25 for everything else. Opinions in the comments under the video were divided. While some wondered how a person who teaches their children gets $2,500 a month, others condemned the young woman for biting off more than she could chew.
I just budgeted my paycheck that I get tomorrow, and I have $317 left over after my bills. For 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to be a hermit.
My coworker saw my bank account the other day and it said $25, and we don't get paid for another 2 weeks. And he was like, how are you surviving? How do you even live off $25? I'll tell you if you really want to know how I budget and save. I sleep. Literally, you have to have no obligations. Just sleep. Because if you're sleeping, you can't be spending money. Period.
I ask myself that question almost every day, not just traveling, but buying houses, buying cars, affording all these kids. I ask myself that same question. And I actually have a video on that if you want to check it out as well. Just kind of rambling off what I think people are doing to make all this money. Is it credit cards? Is it debt? Are they scamming? Is it lottery winning? Do they inherit money? Or are they really just working 3 to 5 jobs, or do they really just have a good paying job? So that video will be linked in the bio if you're interested in hearing more about that as well. Because I ask myself the same thing.
Am I the only one who feels like I will never stop living paycheck to paycheck? The economy we live in is trash. The jobs we work for are trash. They pay you the bare minimum, but want you to show up and give your 110%. How does that work? These houses, they want you to pay $1,000+ for rent, and they're 1980 houses. You gotta have a deposit, last month's rent, first month's rent. Why do I need to pay last month's rent? I don't understand that. Car insurance, car payments, they're rip-offs. Why am I paying $300 for car insurance? I don't understand. Health insurance, skyrocket. Food, skyrocket. I just don't understand how I will ever be able to afford to wake up and go hop on a plane and enjoy my best life. I just don't understand. By the time my kids get to adulthood, they're gonna have to pay to open the door to walk out of their own house. I really, really, really rather be a cockroach crawling on the ground for free than have to live this life every day. I can't be the only one who feels this way. I need to know, y'all that get to wake up and take trips and go across country and do $100 shopping sprees at Target every single day? What are you doing? What's the secret to life? What is the secret recipe that you have that we don't have? Let us know.
If you are not struggling financially right now, then you need to consider yourself completely blessed. Like, don't even consider yourself. You are completely blessed. Like, every time I check my local mom group on Facebook, I see requests or people asking where they can get some financial assistance to pay utilities or assistance with rent. And it's concerning because these people are working full-time jobs and they just can't make things work right now. For example, this morning, a woman posted she's an RN working 2 jobs and still is struggling. I know we're all complaining about how expensive things are. For me, personally, like my car insurance doubled in August. I was paying around $140 a month, and now I'm paying $280 for 2 vehicles, and I'm one driver. And I have never had a claim. There was no reason for the increase other than they just increased me. On top of that, Florida Power and Light rules the entire state of Florida now. They bought out Gulf Power, and since then, all I ever hear about from people is how astronomical their utility bills are. Everyone is trying to find ways to save money. But as soon as we save money in one area, something else goes up. So it's just kind of like we're sliding this scale back and forth, and it's actually like increasing. We're never saving, no matter how hard we try. Like, I stopped eating out with my kids. Obviously, eating out is super expensive, but I went almost a month no eating out, and it was still a struggle. And if you made it this far, I don't mean this to be like a pity party thing. I'm figuring it out. But last Friday, my birthday, my boss cut my hours in half. So yeah, I guess this is also like a PSA to people who aren't struggling right now. Don't be tone deaf, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes. If you start to notice behavior changes and lifestyle changes, I can promise you it's because people are being proactive or, I don't know, maybe reactive to their financial situation. It's just a mess.
She's right. It is a mess. It is a mess. It's like they taught us to go to school, do A, B, and C, and we should have the American dream. You know, I know growing up, I've seen a lot of immigrants come over and do it, but as Americans that are born here, we're not able to do that for some reason. So it is a mess. Everything is backwards. We live in the twilight zone. I'm really appreciative of people being able to come on TikTok and share what they're going through. You know, us being honest with each other and being transparent really shows us that we're not the only ones. We're not alone. Hopefully, we get through this together. But thanks for watching the whole video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.